this Friday afternoon, and we'll get started at the top of the hour in just a minute. It looks like we've had a few more folks join. Just wanted to give you a little audio so you knew you're in the right meeting. Thanks for joining the Critical Business Updates for Business Owners call here in Northeast Colorado. Well, this is Bill Fulton with the Civic Canopy. We'll be getting started here in just a minute. Wanted to give you some sound so you could make sure your audio is working. And just a little orientation: if you're new to Zoom, you join muted and with video off, so no need to worry about your hair or whether there's noise in the background. And we'll be having the panelists just on the screen there as they present, and we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. If you want to go ahead and kick us off, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. Let me go ahead and get my video started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Northeast Colorado Critical Business Updates for Business Owners. We're doing this every Friday at 3 p.m. And I just want to thank you for attending our first session here today. And hopefully we're able to answer some questions, provide some information, and let you know you're not alone out there. We're here to support you. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Bill. Bill, you're up next if I'm correct.
Thanks, Lisa. Go ahead. Yeah, and if you want to go to the next slide there, Emily, just wanted to acknowledge the great team that's been working behind this call, and really not just this call, but ways to support the community overall. You see the logos across there. It's been a great team effort, and I think a symbol of what it takes to address a crisis like this. I want to maybe go to the, there's a lot to cover on this agenda. We've just tried to design it to give you the most kind of up-to-date and urgent information that you might have top of mind. So you'll see we'll start off, we're lucky to have both Senator Gardner and Senator Bennett's teams with us here today, give us some background on the CARES Act, Then we'll drill a little bit deeper into the small business portion of that and the paycheck protection program, as well as a little bit of a update on the agricultural issues that people might have top of mind from Lisa. We'll also talk about how to support employees and through the unemployment and sick pay resources, and then a final update on some additional services and supports for you as you try to navigate these waters. You'll notice a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen as we go through the call today. Questions might occur to you that you want to get addressed. Please type them into that Q&A box, and we'll try to get a chance to come back to those at the end. We may not be able to answer all of them during the call, but we'll follow up with all of these resources and answers to those questions shortly after, ideally by this afternoon for you. Just a reminder that we may experience some technical difficulties. Hopefully, I think one thing we're learning from this crisis is we're all human beings making our way through. So if you don't mind, we'll find our way through, no doubt. So with that, I will turn it over to Kat, who will walk us through the first section.
Great, thank you so much, Bill and Lisa. Thanks for kicking us off and convening us. Next slide, please. I have the pleasure today of welcoming our Senate staff from both Senator Bennett's office as well as Senator Gardner's office to talk us through that really complex CARES Act. So today on the phone, I'm going to be posing some questions to Andy Merritt, who's our state director for Senator Gardner's office, as well as Jacqueline Armendariz, who is our Colorado COVID Small Business Crisis Response Lead for Senator Bennett's office. We also have Darlene Carpio from Senator Gardner's office and James Thompson from Senator Bennett's office on the call. So thank you so much all for pivoting and making time in your busy schedules to take us through this. Next slide, please. The quick overview that we're going to do is just really a high level kind of presentation about the CARES Act and the overall federal response, small business resources for you, some touch points on employee support, and if we have time, a couple of common questions that they've been fielding already. As Bill said, if you have questions, I know the teams are going to stay on until the end of the call, and we're happy to answer those at that time. Next slide. So first question, I am going to kick this off with Andy. Where does the CARES Act fit into the overall federal response to the COVID-19 crisis? What's been rolled out so far?
Thanks for that question, Kat, and thank you all for being on the call today. Really, the approach the Senate has taken through this has been focused around three areas. The first was trying to address the health emergency that occurred and is ongoing. You've heard the term flatten the curve. It's really about making sure we don't overwhelm our medical resources and that we can save as many and protect as many lives as possible. The second part that we focused on was direct assistance to individuals and families, things that would help them, provide them immediate assistance so that they can put food on the table, pay their rent, pay their mortgage, do those sorts of things. And then the third piece, where this fits in, our most recent piece, was focusing on the needs of workers and businesses. We wanted to make sure that the economy was as prepared as possible so that it could bounce back quickly. We all know this is going to be a huge economic hit, but we wanted to be able, once we can shift into that economic recovery phase, we wanted to be able to make that happen as quickly as possible. And I know Jacqueline's going to take on the issue of next steps. So Jacqueline?
Oh, hang on. We might have an issue here with Jacqueline. Give me 1 sec. There we go. Are we working?
Yeah,
Got
little
it.
sticky unmute button. Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much, Kat. And so, yes, what's coming up next is obviously a package that we are working to gain insight from you, because if you keep in mind, this process has been so quick that we crafted legislation. So I can offer what Senator Bennett is working on currently in regard to that. So it's kind of a cleanup piece that we're looking at next in terms of legislation. So this $2 trillion package, it does include those direct rebates, and one of the priorities Senator Bennett is focusing on currently is ensuring that there are robust rebates that we'll probably have a round two. As recently as today, we were able to send out another letter from Senator Bennett regarding key kind of vulnerable constituencies and how they're going to receive the rebate. I'm popping a link into the chat. This is the letter that we sent regarding Social Security folks and SSDI folks. They will receive those rebates directly. And so in our next round, we're pushing for as well is SSI and veterans benefits folks to receive automatic payments. And so I'm going to pop that link in there too. And so I'll leave it with that. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jacqueline. Next slide, please. I'm going to have Jacqueline lead off on this one. So what specifically within the CARES Act should small businesses really know about? What are the key small business support pieces and resources?
Of course. And so kind of referring to the slide that you see here, it's working, keep in mind, again, largest stimulus package, unprecedented. There's a lot of buckets going on here. And so we're trying to convey today what they are. So for you small business folks, you can see on the first bullet point, then there's the Paycheck Protection Program, which you're going to get more info on. And big news today is that some folks are ready to apply. Eligible folks can apply today. We have the economic injury disaster loans component in CARES Act. We have debt forgiveness. Also in CARES Act, we have buckets of funding for the Economic Development Administration, which again, because this is a real-time rolling out process that's developing. And also, of course, for rural regional folks, and I think you have someone on the agenda, we have a bucket of funding for USDA as well. And then be aware that there's also a bucket kind of related to taxes. And so there's a number of layers of that with deferral of payroll taxes, retention credit required, paid leave, and even early retirement withdrawals, given the nature of the crisis that some folks might have to access their IRA. And so for us, given the nature of the process, we have a responsibility. We're trying to stay on top of the implementation of all of this. So thank you.
Yeah, and Andy, can you talk a little bit more about the implementation timing of some of these pieces and when you guys foresee they might be coming out? Because I know that the bill passed last week and or the act passed last week, and we're just kind of starting to see some of these pieces roll out.
Yeah, and we tried to leverage the existing relationships that you all have as business owners using the bank system for the Paycheck Protection Program, so that existing SBA lenders, federally insured credit unions, and other banks could participate in the program, so we could move it out fast. So you're already seeing that banks are now accepting applications from people, and more coming on each and every hour as things go by and over the next few days. So that's the Paycheck Protection Program is already out there, and people can start applying for that. The exception to that, which will come online next Friday, is sole proprietorships and independent contractors. They'll be eligible for some of these pieces starting next Friday. That should come online. And then, of course, the economic injury disaster loans, those SBA is coming online with. Those, you will have to apply through SBA there. So we were trying to push all this stuff out as fast as possible.
Great, thanks for that. All right, next slide, please. Andy, I'm going to have you start with this one. Since our small business owners are also our primary employers in our communities, what do they need to know about to support their employees, and what in the CARES Act pertains specifically to them?
Yeah, and again, it was really focused on trying to help you, the employer, keep your people on payroll as much as possible. Either keep them on if they're on now, or hopefully if you had to furlough them, lay them off, that you could bring them back on onto your payroll, so that once we make that shift, you can already have those folks continuing to work for you, and you can maintain those relationships that you have built so well. There's other things in there like temporary pandemic unemployment assistance that expands some of the categories of people that are eligible for it that haven't been before. There's a program where employers can contribute up to $5,250 tax-free to their employees' student loans in 2020. That way, again, maybe not right now, but as you progress through the year and we get going again, you have the opportunity to help support them through the rest of the year.
Fantastic. Jacqueline, anything else to bring in there in terms of employee support?
Yeah, for emphasis, I would say, echo Andy, is that, for instance, the Triple P was crafted to be a strong incentive to keep people on payroll, especially given the crisis that we're experiencing. And so other components that UI benefits expansion is going to be crucial to watch, kind of with the intersection at the state level as well. And so, quick mention too that there are components of paid leave included in the CARES Act that business owners should be aware of as well.
Great, thanks for that. All right, next slide. So this, for all of us, is all of our contact information. As Jacqueline had said, definitely reach out to all of your teams. They want to hear your voice. Also, Jacqueline has made available a full slide deck that we'll be sending out after the fact with some more deep dives and links into what we've covered. So just to close us out, Andy, what's the most common question? And Jacqueline, I'll pose the same one to you after Andy's done. That's kind of been coming up from your constituents, either around the CARES Act or just in general, that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah. I mean, there's just been I think a lot of confusion about what programs people should participate in. I know you're going to have speakers coming up who can really dig into the details. A lot of questions around, can I participate in more than one of these programs? And we believe that you can. You just have to use the money for different aspects. And I think that'll be touched on better later. But that's probably been the biggest thing, is just can I participate in multiple programs? Because PPP, for example, may help you with your payroll, but you may have other issues beyond that doesn't address or doesn't help you with.
Great. Jacqueline, same one to you.
Thank you so much. And so some of what we are hearing, like two major points, is underscoring just the when. There's a lot of question marks here. So when are rebates available, that direct cash assistance? When can I apply for UI? When can I start for applying for SBA loans, which, as we know, developing some of that component has already moved today. So we're making decisions in real time that are incredibly difficult. And so the other piece of what we're hearing, and we just want to confirm that absolutely you are heard and supported through Senator Bennett's office, is the urgency of all of this, especially when it comes to the legislative policy angle. And so I do want to put a pin too, that I'm going to pop this in the chat for this group here, for regional folks, rural regional folks. It looks like it's going to cut me off a little bit, but we just sent out a news release of our offices, Senator Bennett and Senator Gardner, working together, because one of the components in CARES Act is about $150 billion in funding for state local governments. And so we are working on this letter to underscore to the Secretary of the Treasury that there needs to be flexibility with that money for our governments, that smaller counties get their fair share, of course, the urgency again, and that there will be a need for more funding for these folks. So I'm going to pop in the headline actually, and hopefully we can get to the news release later. But that's what we're looking forward to ahead. So again, just emphasizing, if there are areas of oversight, please reach out to us, because this is a piece of $2 trillion legislation that was crafted by human beings in about roughly a week in response to this magnitude of this crisis. So thank you all for your time, and stay healthy.
Great. And Andy and Jacqueline, again, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for ending it on that great partnership note right there. It's definitely about our communities. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Bill to move us into our next section.
Thanks, Kat. And please, Andy and Jacqueline, extend our gratitude to Senator Bennett and Senator Gardner for all they're doing on our behalf. All right, we're going to do, just as Andy said, kind of drill a little bit farther into some of the details with the small business loans, and have Lisa kind of come back on and walk us through that. Thanks, Lisa.
Great, thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and start on that first slide. So we'll go to the next one. All right, so I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center for East Colorado, and we're here to serve small business owners and entrepreneurs. We provide no-cost consulting for our entrepreneurs and small business owners, training, and we help connect you to resources that you need, and that's exactly what people are needing in this time. Next slide, please. So this is how the state of Colorado is split up for the different regions for SBDC. So East Co serves that top right blue corner of the state. We cover 11 counties and 2 half counties. And even if you don't fall in a territory, if you're seeking help, we'll get you in touch with a person that can help you. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the team that we have at East Co. We've got 14 consultants available, an admin, someone who's in charge of all of our programming. We serve 13 counties in total, and we've got 30 offices throughout the territory. So we're really trying to make more people available to help these small businesses as you start encountering issues or opportunities that you want help with. And we may potentially bring on more as demand increases. Next slide. This is the website that the state network has developed. It's coloradosbdc.org/COVID. And we are updating this website just about every hour as new information comes out. And right now, if you go to that website, you'll see information really in depth about the paycheck protection loans, the EIDL, the grant with EIDL, the express bridge loans, the debt relief, payroll tax credits. I mean, there's so many resources that we've put out here, as well as some recorded webinars that we've already done with different partners. So you can go on, find what information is relevant for you, and then please reach out to your local consultant or center, and we can get you connected with someone to work with directly. Next slide. This is a resource guide that was developed by the state network, and it's for small businesses who have been affected by COVID. And it's really a lot of information about, applying for different programs, but also some strategic planning on how to maybe reorganize your business or redevelop strategies that are no longer relevant with today's market. And you can find that at that coloradoscdc.org/COVID website. It's a downloadable PDF. Next slide. There is a hotline that you can call if you've got questions and you are maybe not available to meet with a consultant one-on-one over the phone or via video chat. So you can call them Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. And that phone number is 303-860-5881. And those folks are based out of Denver, but they are helping people all over the state. Within, I think, the first 2 weeks, they had about 1,000 calls. So they are just really ramping up. Next slide. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the EIDL loan. And this is the loan portion. So let's talk about who qualifies for this program. So you must be considered a small business by SBA definition. So that is 500 employees or fewer. You have to be directly affected by COVID, and it's important to identify that in an application. Ability to repay that loan. They will consider your credit history. And if you've been open for less than 3 years, you just must be able to provide a verifiable proof of profit and loss. So you don't have to be an existing business, for 50 years to apply for this program. You can be a startup, but you just have to provide that verifiable proof. And when you go through the application, you're not uploading any documents with the shorter version that's now available. That will be, I believe, part of something that you'll have to provide later on. And you can apply for this program directly through the SBA website. And then if you have any application questions or you're not sure about the status of your application, they do have a 1-800 phone number, which I'd highly recommend you utilizing. It's 1-800-659-2955. This is a great place to see if you completed the EIDL application before the grant portion was available, to see what your status is on that and if you need to go through and reapply through the shorter application period. Next slide, please. Okay, FAQ. So these are some questions that we've gotten often as we've just been diving into this EIDL program. Collateral. Do you need collateral to apply for the loan? Yes. The answer is yes. If it's available, you must pledge that collateral, but if you won't be declined solely based on the lack of collateral. So again, if you have it, they want you to pledge it, but if you don't have any, they won't decline you just based on that information alone. When do payments on the loan begin? So the answer to this is a 6 to 12 month period after the time of the award. Can I apply for the EIDL advance, just the EIDL advance? And this is the grant portion. And the answer to that is no. You have to apply for the loan, not just the grant portion. You can accept that EIDL advance, the grant portion, and decline the loan if you're approved for a loan. You can still decline it and keep the grant money. Can I apply for EIDL, EIDL advance, and the Paycheck Protection Program? Yes, you can apply for all three, but as someone said earlier, you can't double dip. So you can't use the same money for, or different buckets to pay for the same expense. It has to be different. Next slide. These are some slides that were developed by OEdit, and they were released yesterday. This is just going to showcase how the payroll protection program works. And I will say this, we've had several questions, not only from applicants, but also from lenders who are not rolling this out quite yet because they're waiting on more information. So if you have a current relationship with a financial institution and they're not rolling it out, we're recommending that you try to work with your bank that you're currently working with, and they may just have a delayed system. But it is something that got released today. Not everyone is submitting applications right away. So to confirm eligibility, you have to be a small business, a sole proprietor, an independent contractor, self-employed, a tribal business concern, or a 501c3 or 19. That 19 is a veteran organization. To gather materials, you want to know the monthly payroll, have your tax records, your monthly rent, utilities, and healthcare benefit costs. To calculate the loan need, what will be done is you'll take the annual eligible payroll cost divided by 12 times 2.5, and that will be how much the PPP program will be available. Next slide. The application starting date for small businesses and sole props open today. So through SBA, it's been open today, but that doesn't mean that all of the 7A lenders who are participating in this program are launching today. But for small businesses and sole props, that's today. And next week on the 10th, next Friday, is when independent contractors and self-employed individual loans will open. And then that complete application combined with all the materials, you can find that application on choosecolorado.com/COVID-19, or you can go to the SBA website directly, submit that application to your local SBA bank that is participating. And they do have a list of lenders, but again, I would reach out to your banker to see if they have launched that program for their bank today, or if it won't happen until next week. One other thing that I want to note on this page, if you are a small business that hires independent contractors, that expense will not be included in the amount that will calculate the Paycheck Protection Program. And independent contractors do need to apply on their own next week. Next slide. Okay, so pay and document eligible payments will be for payroll payments, rent mortgage payments, and utility payments. The guidelines are 75% of the loan for payroll is what you have to use the funds for. 8-week period for those payments, and June 30th will be the payment deadline. You'll submit the loan forgiveness information with payroll receipts. So it's really important that you are documenting what you're using these funds for, so that way you can maximize that forgiveness amount. Next slide. For full program details and FAQ, again, the most updated website is going to be coloradosbdc.org/COVID for any small business development center information. You can find local resources links in this presentation on our website. We'll have this presentation available next week, and that'll be at eastcoloradosbdc.com/disaster-relief. Next slide. We do have a few other online events that we will be hosting. If you know someone who's interested in starting a business or wants to find out information about that, we will have a startup orientation on April 7th from 6 to 7:45 p.m. online. You can register on our website for that. We have another one called Setting Bold and Realistic Goals for Your Business, April 14th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. online. There's no cost for these online programs. You just have to register ahead of time on our website at eastcoloradosbdc.com. Next slide. Another one that we have is Align Your Employees Around Your Powerful Mission. This will be April 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. And this, again, will be online, as all of our events have moved online at this point. And if you have an idea of something else that you'd like to learn about in a webinar form, please reach out to us at the SBDC. My program coordinator, his name is Andrew. His email is right there on the slide. It's andrew@eastcoloradosbdc.com with any details or ideas that you have of trainings that you'd like to see coming up. Next slide. We do have a newsletter. You can text Eastco News to 22828 for the latest information on SBDC workshops, community events, and local business news. Or you can sign up for that newsletter online if you go to bit.ly/EastCoNews. and you can get signed up there. We're updating our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter account with any information that we get as soon as it is in our hands, so that way you can find the most updated information there as well. Next slide. And the most important thing that I want to just share with everyone, whether you're a lender, a business owner, is just keep calm and small business on. This is what the ASBDC is putting out there. We're here to support you. And if you feel frustrated, we understand. You know, this is something that's never happened in the history of our small businesses, it seems. And so, you know, it's taking a little bit of time to develop these programs, but we have programs, and it's going to help as soon as we can get them through. So if you need help with these things, reach out to us, and hopefully we'll be able to walk you through it, or at least find an answer for you. We may not have all the answers right now, but we sure are trying to get them for you. Thank you.
Great, and Lisa, we may have you stay on stage for one more step with the USDA slides, which comes up next, if you don't mind taking that one.
Yeah, definitely. So this slide is for the USDA resources that we have available. This was given to us by USDA, and next week we are really going to focus on some resources available for those farmers and ranchers that need support. So you can go to farmers.gov to find some information until we are back on next week. They have some information about coronavirus and the H-2A visa program, as well as, you know, what's happening with the service centers. And then the other one there is rd.usda.gov/coronavirus, where you can find some other information about the disease itself from USDA and latest news from the CDC. So again, you can go to farmers.gov or that rd.usda.gov/coronavirus.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I'm so encouraged that you've got the webinars and the workshops for people starting businesses and about thinking of growing and going. I think it's so important as we move through this crisis to the recovery to keep that in mind, that those days will come and that you're supporting everyone wherever they are in the continuum. Great. If we want to go to the next slide, we're going to take a pivot now and pick up on the topics of supporting employees through the unemployment and the sick pay resources. And I think we're going to pass it to Dawn.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for including us today. My name is Dawn Robarts, and I'm the Director for Workforce Services in Northeastern Colorado, so I cover the 10 counties in the rural communities out here. Go ahead to the first slide. Jessica Volland is my counterpart in the Northwest area of the state, and she put together the first few slide decks for her presentation. And here in the consortium, we do the R&D method. So I have some of her notes and her speaking points to that, so bear with me as I kind of go through it. Employers right now are in one of two camps, and we've seen this a lot locally. Either your business is having to close due to a public health order, lack of demand, loss of revenue, or some combination of all three, or you are an essential business that still has sufficient demand to keep operation, but you may be facing challenges related to the sickness or unavailability of your staff. Jessica separated out the relevant employer information for us today based on these two groupings. So of course you may be in one camp today and another in a week's time. So it's good information for everybody to be familiar with. And we've definitely seen this over the last week or two. And just to clarify, I'm not the subject matter expert, but I've included information available at the time this presentation was developed. Clark Becker is our Rural Consortium Director, and he's on the call as well and can jump in where needed. If I cannot answer your questions, of course, I can commit to finding the answer and bringing it back to the group. Next slide. In conjunction with the family medical leave, employers are also required to provide sick pay, paid sick leave to their workers who are eligible due to the reasons listed, up to a cap based on circumstances. Part-time employees receive a number of paid hours they would work during an average 2-week period. These businesses have the same opportunity to apply to be exempted from the EPSL as they do the FMLA. Special rules apply to healthcare providers and emergency responders. Paid sick time does not carry over from one year to the next, and employees are not entitled for reimbursement of unused leave on any type of separation. Employee may elect to substitute any accrued vacation leave, personal leave, or medical leave or medical or sick leave for the first 2 weeks of a partial leave period. So there's a lot of complications, and it's not certainly not a one-size-fits-all process. Next slide. If you're still operating but have workers that are sick or having to stay home to care for children due to school closure or any other complication, it's important that you are familiar with the expanded family medical leave. Small businesses with fewer than 50 employees may qualify for exemption from the requirement to provide leave due to school closings or childcare unavailability if the leave requirements would jeopardize the viability of the business as a growing concern. So it's balancing those employee needs with making sure that doors stay open after the 30 days. Or 30-day initial closure. Next slide, please. And I know we've had some questions already on WorkShare. WorkShare is a program that operates in tandem with unemployment insurance, wherein a worker who has had their hours reduced by at least 10% of normal, but no more than 50%. The employer will compensate the employee at their regular rate for hours worked, and UI will reimburse the remaining hours as a percentage of time worked. In the example on the screen, UI would pay 40% of the employee's weekly UI allotment, or $185 a week. This employee should also be eligible to receive the pandemic unemployment compensation at $600 a week through July 31st of 20. WorkShare agreements are typically valid for 12 months from the date of approval. WorkShare is a great way for employers to retain employees, avoid having staff to restaff from scratch, and ensure the employee is compensated for the time worked. There is an email address available through the Department of Labor and Employment, and it's cdle_employer_services@state.co.us. So any questions specific to your need or situation, that would be a great place to go ahead and send those into. Jessica did share with us that Rio Blanco County, they have had success as a municipal government doing their own iteration of WorkShare programs. So hopefully we'll be seeing that expanded in the Eastern community as well. Next slide. So there tends to be a little bit of confusion between regular unemployment insurance and then the pandemic unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance is designed for folks laid off through no fault of their own. These are not folks that maybe had a disciplinary action or things like that, that they needed to be separated from employment. The pandemic is for individuals who may not be eligible for the regular benefits, including those who are self-employed or are contract workers or haven't accrued any qualifying wages. They still must meet the able and available quantifier for matters related to the COVID-19. The PUA is the application for assistance is not yet up and running, and no one should be trying to file regular UI claim unless they've already been deemed ineligible. They are not wanting to end up setting up two claims and ending up confusing the situation. So the effective weeks for unemployment for the PUA is January 27th of 20 through 12/31 of 20. And eligible claimants include exhaustees of regular UI, otherwise ineligible. So those are also folks that, we've seen before with the extended UI benefits in times of economic downturn, where their normal claims exhausted, they pull from other coffers in order to do that. So the same will apply then on the pandemic unemployment insurance. As outlined in CARES, the PUC is not yet determined how those weekly supplement payments to the UI or PUA will be made, but that it's flat for $600 for each claim, regardless of the size of the claim. $600 was determined because it's the difference between the national average UI payment and the national average weekly wage, and it's intended to make the claimants whole during a time when new jobs are very hard to find. UI was not designed for the current economic crisis, which is why the PUC added the $600. For workers earning less than $60,000 a year, the addition of the pandemic unemployment insurance to UI will likely mean that they make more income being unemployed than they did while working. This is going to pose some challenges to employers when they look to hire people back at their normal wage prior to. Those receiving UI must still be able and available to go to work, but the requirements to look for work is currently waived for everyone, which means there's no real reason to lay off job attached, which for job attached quantifiers, we usually see folks coming in that are tied to seasonal agriculture. They can be laid off through the winter, or we have the sugar plant here in Morgan County that does not do production through the summer. So we see folks that are generally laid off. Extended or unemployment insurance benefits are pretty much the same format, but they're not required to look for additional work during the time of their layoff. So 100% federally funded benefits, no premium increases, or 50% off set for reimbursing employers in the new CARES bill. There's a site also available I can put in the chat for registering for the SIDES program to approve claims electronically. Next slide. So I think I may have jumped ahead. That's the last one. So next slide, please. So local impact, taking a look at through January 1st of 2020 in our 10 counties, we've had an additional 1,864 applicants that are registered in Connecting Colorado. 1,456 of those have worked with an Eastern staff member directly. Outside of myself and our program assistant, we have 11 staff. So you can understand the volume that we've been facing out here already. And we haven't seen the huge uptick in unemployment claims that some of our counterparts on the western part of the state have seen. While many unemployment claims are in the process for approval, 610 have been fully approved since the first of the year. So we have seen a little bit of an increase. Actually, about 5 minutes before this phone call, I received an email from our UI department showing that we did have an uptick this past week, and because it runs about 2 weeks behind of unemployment insurance claims through, so that would have been through March 21st. So next slide. And just kind of to wrap up, we do want to make it very clear that all workforce services are still available. I think just because offices are closed to the general public, just to prohibit the spread of the virus, that people seem to think that we're not working, and that's as far from the truth as could be. We have a full range of services that are still available through any one of our offices. Folks can get a call back from a staff member working remotely by leaving a message at the office. There are office emails set up. We can be directly contacted, as well as through our Facebook page, whether it's a chat function or Facebook messaging. And we will also be using our Facebook page to post any updates. We're still posting jobs of the day and making sure that the employers that have been experiencing a labor shortage during this time are still counted in and factored in our work every day to make sure that we do provide hiring opportunities for our businesses that are still positioned to fully operate as well, especially in healthcare. They still need a lot of assistance. So that's it for workforce, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dawn. That's a lot to cover in a period of time. Thanks for being a source of great information. We wanted to turn, if you want to go to the next slide, just to give you kind of breaking news of additional supports of some pro bono financial supports, if you want to go to the next stop there. Emily, on the next slide. Obviously, the first line of defense trying to navigate all of this complicated application process and figuring out what source is most relevant for you is just going straight to your local SBDC consultant, almost a concierge to help you navigate through all this. But we know that they're often kind of booked with calls and not able to get to everybody immediately. So a group of financial specialists have come together to do some pro bono time dedicated to supporting people to navigate these complicated steps. And you'll see the contact information there on the screen. It's covid19financehelp.splashthat.com. These are talented folks throughout the financial business that are doing pro bono work, donating their time to make sure that small businesses across Colorado have the support they need to find your way through these difficult steps. So we're excited to see that kind of community spirit and people rallying together to support each other. And I think we'll go to the final slide, which is just a review of the resources we've been covering, where you can find these slides, additional business resources, how you can apply. And I think we're doing great on time. Open it up to some of the Q&A. I will say Lisa's been doing a great job. If you've looked at the Q&A section, she's actually answering some of those live and typing in those responses. So thanks, Lisa, for a jump start on that. So some of the ones that are still remaining, people wanted to hear, oh, I guess we already kind of spoke to the Colorado Workshare program. So I will move down to that. How about this next question for Megan? Do you have the details on the mechanics of the expanded $5,250 student loan benefit? Does it, for example, does it have to go through payroll? Does it have to be paid directly to the lender from the employer? Does anyone have a sense of some details on that program? We'll open it up to our panelists. Folks might either be unmuting or not sure of the answer. So if we don't have anyone who's got that information now, Megan, we will be sure to track that down and put it in some responses afterwards. But any panelists want to weigh in on that one? All right, Megan, you've given us a
Hi, this is James. Hi, this is James. Sorry.
Oh, we just lost you again, James. I think you went on mute again.
Yep.
There you go.
Sorry, we could try and track down that information and get back to you on that. I imagine a number of these provisions in the bill are still being worked out, and this one is probably, I would imagine this one's coming soon, but we can definitely get that answer back to you.
Great. So we'll follow up with you on that one, Megan. Looks like there's another question just came in. A question about whether the Workshare FPUC is available for employees of those businesses that use and exhausted the payroll protection program. Lisa, I'm not sure if that's one we can put your way.
You know, I am not all that familiar with the Workshare program, so I don't have an answer for that one, unfortunately. This is something that I could send to my team.
Great, we'll definitely do that. And Dawn, any insights from you there?
Tina, that is a great question, and I can certainly see if I can get that answered.
Great. All right. And I think
Hey, Bill, there is one other thing that I would like to add. The Colorado CDC Network has developed a video on how to do the application for the EIDL, the loan portion, as well as that grant portion. And that is going to get posted on the coloradosbdc.org/COVID website, I believe later this afternoon. So if you're interested in watching how to complete that in a video format, keep an eye on that website.
Excellent, great resource. And it's a good point too. This video from this call will also be available too. So if there's anything that you we covered earlier on, you want to either get a little bit of a review on or share with others, this will be coming out to you as well. All right, well, we moved briskly through the content. Thanks to all the presenters, especially special thanks to the staff from Senator Bennett and Senator Gardner, who've been with us all afternoon answering these questions multiple times, but each time as if it was the first. Thanks for giving us that kind of personalized attention. I'll turn it back over to you, Lisa, if you want to close us out.
All right, yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined today, and I hope that you can join us next week on Friday, same time, same place. Here at 3 o'clock, we will cover more USDA topics, and if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us directly. You can email the SBDC, the East Coast SBDC at info@eastcoloradosbdc.com, or a consultant that you're working with, and we're here to support you, and you know, just stay healthy out there.